beginning of the meeting.
I need to take two.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to start. This is the Comprehensive Plan Update Committee meeting on Wednesday, November the 9th at 7 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Like we always do, we'll do a roll call, and we'll start at my very right, and we'll go right around the room.
Fred Cantor.
Greg Totino.
Liz Axelson, CPL, a consultant to the CPU committee.
John Foreman.
Jonathan Cantor.
Don Pristula.
Megan Lo Cicero, Drake Loeb, attorney to the committee.
Okay, welcome everybody, and I'm going to turn this meeting over to Elizabeth.
Okay, so the CPU committee has been working for over a year, and they've accomplished a lot: a survey, an open house, and what is now a draft comprehensive plan update that is in substantially excellent shape. It's ready for the environmental review and public review process, and because of that, the town board has been handed a full environmental assessment form, part 1, which really pertains to land development, so there isn't a whole lot to say in there. Part 2 is to address the impacts of the project, and again, this is not a land development, it's a plan for the town. So the main impact has to do with community character and planning. And part 3 of the full EAF is basically what's called a SECRA positive declaration, indicating that the proposed action, which is the town board adopting the comprehensive plan update for the town of Fishkill, that action potentially could have significant impacts. I would guess many of them very beneficial. And so it's a positive declaration under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, or SECRA. So they also have a positive declaration notice indicating to the public and agencies that it could have a significant impact, and that notice also sets a scoping session. And the town board will be acting on these SECRA documents, hopefully, next Wednesday night, November 16th, and they will be setting a scoping session at that town board meeting. Also in this packet of information is what's called a State Environmental Quality Review Act scoping outline, which is an outline that tries to tell what things must be addressed in an environmental impact statement that would be about the Town of Fishkill Comprehensive Plan update. So we are moving forward significantly. The committee has met, as I said, for over a year. Now that we have this draft dated November 8th, this is the current draft, and it will be the subject of public and SECRA review, which will go on for a few months. So we won't be changing this document for a while. However, anytime there's a meeting where the CPU is discussed, I'll keep a running list of notes, any comments from either the town board or perhaps at the upcoming scoping session, which will be in December, I believe December 21st, possibly, if it's set. So I'll continue to take notes about any comments the town board or public or agencies have about scoping, and that we're hoping later in the process, the town board will adopt a scoping outline a little later on. They'll start looking at a draft generic environmental impact statement about the comprehensive plan update, and soon after that, they'll determine that it's complete and send that out for commentary by the public and agencies. So there's a few rounds of review that will involve the public and agencies and the town board. And so we're kind of at a point where the CPU committee can sit back and watch the process of this environmental and public and agency review. And what I just handed to the committee recently, I handed them this draft, revised November 8th, and I also handed them a copy of all the different, showing all the different changes, so the committee can look and see what those recent changes are. But right now, we have a draft that's ready to go. So there won't be, probably not that many comprehensive plan update committee meetings in the next couple months. But I am hoping that CPU committee members will try to attend the November 16 meeting, because that's when the town board is going to initiate the review, the public and environmental review of the comprehensive plan update. The scoping session would be December 21st, 2022, if that is set by the town board next week. So that would be another thing I would encourage the committee to attend. Hello.
No.
To hear what the public or agencies have to say about the scoping outline and what kinds of things that public and agencies want to see in the environmental impact statement. So I think that would be a good session for the comprehensive plan update committee to attend. And then later on, just looking ahead, we don't know the definite dates yet, but probably the draft generic environmental impact statement will hopefully be determined complete in possibly late February, early March. There a public hearing on the draft generic environmental impact statement, and a public hearing also on the comprehensive plan update will be held later in the spring. And again, these dates will be announced, and there will be notices sent out by the town board to alert the public and agencies when there's commentary. So there will be some sessions for public commentary, and I would encourage the committee to attend those. Because we have a draft that's going to go through all this public and agency review at this time, there really isn't a need to have another meeting where we're sitting and reviewing and commenting on this. But I would encourage the committee, if you're reviewing this and something strikes you, to send an email and go ahead and send it out by reply to all to the entire committee, and that way we can keep some dialogue going. So a lot has been accomplished, and I think now the committee kind of gets a breather until we have some comments that might need to be addressed later on, probably spring. We'll put our heads back together, go through some of the comments that we've gotten from agencies and the public, and see what kind of changes should be made, and put that document back together for the town board.
If we put it back together, does it have to go back out for another hearing of the public?
Well, it depends on how the town board goes about that. So when they get to the point where they have a complete draft generic EIS and they're ready to set a hearing on that, they would also set the hearing on the comprehensive plan update. It is possible that they could close the hearing on the draft generic environmental impact statement, but keep the public hearing on the comprehensive plan update open for another date. It depends on how much commentary they get. Does that sound correct, Megan?
Yes.
But I think the other possibility is they could hold both hearings, close both hearings, request that the CPU committee convene and make any necessary changes and bring it back to them, and they might set a new hearing. I'm just not sure how they'll proceed.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's in the town board's hands, and Liz and I spoke earlier about, you guys have done such a great job getting this all ready for them. We've given it over to them. You guys wrapped it up in a nice little bow. We sent it to them. So now it's their turn to kind of do their review of everything. And I mean, we have have to see what they say. You can't predict the future. Oh, I'm sorry. We can't predict the future, but, you know, as soon as they do their review, I think both of us will have some more answers to provide the committee.
Yep. And there are still some parts that, you know, that the document needs. It needs a cover, it needs a table of contents, it needs all the beautiful photos that the committee has provided. Jonathan and Fred sent some. But there's no reason to put those in right now, because the document will change if it is to be revised. So it's better to have the document be nearly final and then put those pieces in.
Okay.
More efficient.
Are they gonna ask us any questions when we attend the meeting, or is it just you presenting it next Wednesday, and they're just gonna accept it at that point in time, and then?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it would be open for you guys to be questioned at the town board meeting. I mean, maybe John knows better than I do.
To be
but-
questioned, oh boy.
Yeah, I don't
Well,
think so.
that's what, you know, just trying to find out what, this is my first time going with the town board for one of these hearings. I just wanna know. So what,
Are you talking about next week?
yeah, talk about
Yeah.
next week.
Yeah, so, I mean, when we did it a couple weeks ago, Liz presented it to the
Yeah.
town board. I mean, I think
And the
that,
committee.
Goodness me, I'm sorry. Pop-up ads.
I think that was more of a back and forth
Yeah.
question. Next week, I don't think that the town board will be asking you guys or Liz
Yeah,
for
because we're
that
just gonna be looking at this
Yeah,
for the
exactly.
first time
Yeah.
as a town board,
Yep.
so.
But I think, I would just mention to committee members, especially those who might not be here tonight, it'd be a really good idea to show up at the town board meeting, just so the town board can see the faces of all the committee members in front of them. And, you know, there could be questions that come up, and if so, there'll be some of us there, I'm sure.
I think that's a good idea. Here, here.
Could you just, so the 21st of December, we talked about a scoping session. Could you just get into a little bit? I mean, is that where, I don't want to pretend I know what
Okay,
scoping session is.
I'm happy
That's
to
why I'm
answer
asking the
that.
question.
I'm happy to answer that. So.
I feel like it's a biology class and.
It's absolutely fine. If I talk about that stuff with my husband, I glaze over, he glazes over the way I glaze over if he's talking about nitpicky guitar repair, so I understand. So there is a draft scoping outline that I've provided. And what the scoping outline really is, it's an outline for what should be included in the draft generic environmental impact statement. And let me just for a moment say something about generic. Having written environmental impact statements for land development, it's a much more detailed outline because you're talking about where do these buildings land on the ground? Is there grading? Is there rock removal? Are there stream crossings? How many buildings? How many units? What's the building footprint? There's all kinds of intense details, and those are site-specific details for land development. The draft comprehensive plan update is a plan for the town. So it's a very much more generalized proposed action to adopt that and to implement it. So generic means that everything we say about the effect of this comprehensive plan update is going to be kind of general. I don't know if I'm describing generic enough, but the scoping outline basically has certain elements that must be in there. You have to describe the project. You have to describe what is the environmental setting where you're describing the entire town of Fishkill. So that's going to be a general description, and we'll refer to maps. And then impacts and mitigation, if you're looking at the scoping outline, there's a page. Let me see if I can grab this and put it on the screen. Oh, no, I don't have the scoping outline. Never mind. There's a page, and it talks about the different areas of impact and mitigation, meaning how will this plan in the section on connecting people and places with all the sidewalks, what kind of effects or impacts will that have? Most of them will be beneficial if those things are constructed, but you might have to acknowledge that anytime there's construction, there's land disturbance. So there'll be general descriptions, and so you have to describe what's proposed, description of the proposed project, adoption of the plan, what's the environmental setting, the town, impacts and mitigation, what will be the effect of all these goals and objectives, and alternatives to be considered. You always have to have alternatives in an EIS, and so you have to put it in the scoping outline. The only alternative I could think of was the no action alternative of not adopting the plan. And the other alternative would have been, if the committee went this way, a comprehensive plan update with code amendments. But I think the committee, and I think appropriately so, decided that this should be some very specific objectives, and how the town handles those very specific objectives as they move forward should be decided at that time. And then there are other components that have to be in an environmental impact statement, and those are on page 3 of the scoping outline. Unavoidable adverse impacts, growth-inducing impacts. There could be some growth-inducing from this comprehensive plan update. Irreversible and irretrievable commitment of resources. So the scoping outline basically says these are all the things that whoever's going to write the generic environmental impact statement has to write about. And when the public comes and looks at this at the scoping session, the public or agencies that are writing letters of comment about the scoping outline, they may have some very specific comments about things to look at. So we'll have to consider revising this outline after the scoping session to add in those specific items and address those specific issues. So I think I've kind of gone overboard, but did that help at all?
Yes.
Okay. Megan, do you want to?
That was perfect.
Okay, fine. So the end goal is to have an environmental review alongside a public review. I ordinarily would think that those things should run at the same time, and they kind of mix in and out. So at the scoping session, people may talk about what's in the plan rather than what should be in the environmental impact statement. We'll just write it all down and figure out what to do with it.
Liz, is cost ever brought up in that? Because everything we have is going to have a cost factor to it.
That's not usually brought up, because, you mean like the cost of implementing everything in the plan?
I have no idea.
Right. I would say that would be an unusual thing to see for a comprehensive plan.
Oh, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, you might have a fiscal impact analysis if you're building a whole bunch of homes somewhere.
Well, I understand that, but we're talking about sidewalks, we're talking about the rail trail, we're talking about signs, we're talking about a visitor center, we're talking about a lot of things in this.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's hard to put a price tag on
Yeah.
moving, prices.
Yeah, and my understanding of the comprehensive plan recommendations is that, and also the seeker process, the environmental review process, does not normally get into fiscal impacts.
No.
But the town board certainly will be interested in fiscal impacts, and at some point, if the town board decides to implement some of these recommendations, like sidewalks is a good example,
Mhm.
the town board would obviously have to, at that point, analyze what the costs may be, and obviously a lot of those things are going to have to be budgeted somehow, either
Yep.
either capital budgeting for physical things like sidewalks or roads, or programmatic changes, fiscal impacts of rezonings and other changes in the code may or may not have financial impacts on the community, but those are things usually that the town board would certainly be interested in finding out. But that's at a later stage, not during the comprehensive planning stage.
Right. Yeah, I think a good example of that is with all the sidewalk sections, that implementation could probably be spread out over easily 10 or more years. So. Any other questions? Anyway, one of the reasons I wanted to go over the schedule had to do with that the committee at our last few meetings was starting to think about, you know, do we need to have another meeting? And so what I was trying to do in the beginning here is to say, well, at this point, since this draft comprehensive plan update is about to go through a few months of review, that other than, you know, people emailing about possible changes, we don't want to start changing this draft as we move forward. This is the one that has to keep going through review. So I can collect possible revisions, but it's going to be a little static for a few months. So.
Are you like suggesting a motion to adjourn? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not suggesting a motion to adjourn, but I am hinting at the fact that that we won't need to have a meeting in the next couple months.
Now, I assume that any comments that the public makes, we will get copies of? Because this is going
You
to
mean
go out
like-
to the public, too?
Well, you know what we didn't get into yet?
Liz, I think I can, if there's going to be public comment made at town board meetings, that the town board can have a copy of those comments sent over. Since those are always taken down for the minutes, I'm sure the clerk's office would be happy to provide the supervisor's office with
Yeah, that's
a
good.
copy of those comments, and then they can be forwarded to the CPU as a whole.
Yep, good. Because I don't imagine we want to have a court stenographer for that kind of hearing, not necessarily.
No, we've got a very good system for taking minutes, and I
Good.
think that can be distributed.
And I think normally, public comments, especially made during the scoping session or a public hearing, would basically be outlined in the environmental impact statement, like in an appendix or in some other manner, but
Well, the town board has on their agenda an open session at any meeting, that anybody can speak upon anything that affects the town. So I was just curious if that would be forward to us too, if it is brought up. As opposed to what we do at the planning board, you know, it's only at that point in time when it's an open house, but they do open up everything to anybody.
Right.
And I don't want to attend every meeting.
That's all right, you've attended plenty of meetings already. Any other aspect of the review procedure that needs elaborating or explaining, or?
We'll talk later. I'm sorry. I got an award I didn't know I was getting, and he was just telling me.
Oh, congratulations.
He was being
Of course,
presented.
I was at training for my other committee I serve on here. All right, so what else do you want to cover tonight?
I'm not sure. I mean, we can look at the changes that were made recently, and you've already seen all the maps. It's just that Debbie Colonna said that I could put them on screen now. That's not the one I want to see.
yeah,
This is the
let's
one-
run through, let's take a quick look at those and see what they look like on the screen.
Okay.
You got-
Because that's probably how the public will see them when- if and when they come to hearings, right?
I think so.
It's a little bit better.
Does that business go away? Oh, there we go. So this is, I can zoom in on an area if somebody wants to see it, but basically this is,
The rolling, I can't remember if you, that scrolls up and down.
that just scrolls up and down. Now I have to do this. And can I do that? No, it's not gonna, ooh. I don't know what it just did.
Oh, you have to go hit undo, go up to edit, top left. All the way at the top. Top
Very
left.
top left.
Okay.
Power
Yeah,
left.
Hit that. You wanna hit undo, cause you moved the line.
I
There.
didn't know that Megan left this in writable format. All right, well, I can't move around too much then.
You can hit close on the right-hand side, and I think that'll make it better.
Near the top right, there's a little icon that says close.
Why am I closing it?
I think that might
I
take
think
it out
that'll
of
stop
editable
you from
format.
changing it.
Okay.
No.
Oh.
Okay, cancel. Okay, just above the display area on the right, there's an ovular button that says close.
To the right.
To the right,
Give them the mouse.
down,
Yeah.
slightly down to your right,
To the
right
right.
to the right, there.
Oh. So I'm just closing this item? Boy, it's taking forever.
No, you're not closing the item, I think it was designed to close the editing bar.
Yeah,
So that way you
Oh,
can
alright.
move without,
yeah,
There
Okay,
you go.
hopefully.
yeah.
I hope. I'm gonna try. I'm just gonna use the bars.
Yeah.
Anyway, just, talking about sidewalks briefly, the purple areas are proposed areas of sidewalk improvement. They could be on both sides of the road, they could be only on one side. It's described in the plan.
Can you scroll down, yeah, scroll up there, thank you.
And this area is supposed to be a corridor. Were you gonna ask me something?
You said the purple area is gonna be the sidewalks. but
Yes.
We're not doing a sidewalk all the way down the. front.
No, that's not, no.
That's not
it's-
a purple, okay, wrong
no.
color.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm afraid to touch anything because I don't want it to move. So there's that triangle intersection, a
Mhm.
bunch of
Yeah.
sidewalks connecting
Yeah.
those neighborhoods. This area of town, you obviously would know this, is really intensely populated with pretty well-developed neighborhoods, and that's why having some sidewalks here and here. There are even some non-residential uses in here. I think there's a ballpark, a bowling alley, church. I can't remember what else is down there, but it really deserves
Yeah.
a connection between the residential uses, and then there,
Yes.
the sidewalks are spotty in and out of here.
And it goes by the school and it goes
Yep.
all the way down to the shopping.
And so there's some connections
the
needed
village.
throughout. And then we talked about making some, hang on a second here. There are some sidewalks down here. There are existing sidewalks in the area along Route 9.
Although,
But,
as discussed, they are not ideally suited for pedestrian crossing.
right, we have.
They do
some-
exist, but they are not necessarily
Right, we need.
the ideal conduit for crossing 8 to 10 lanes of traffic.
Yep, and we do have language in the plan for coming up with the safest, most feasible crossing, depending on the context. But there is a need for some sidewalks down here, around some of the existing commercial development. There's the Historical Society there, so some walking down there. And then going further down Route 9, these are not sidewalks. These bubbles along the road are intended to show kind of a gateway area beginning in the southern part of town. That's a gateway. And moving on up, because if you go onto Google Earth and get onto Street View and go up this road, it's very pretty. There's a lot of vegetation on both sides.
So it looks like the sidewalk on Route 9, the southern part, looks like it ends at the Home Depot area. Is that correct?
Yep, that's right. And then if you, I don't know how to get rid of
We
that blue
can-
bar. I'm so sorry. What? Go ahead.
That's all right. We have somebody, a plan coming for just below the Home Depot.
Oh, on the planning board right now?
Yeah, I think that maybe hits it already.
I mean,
I think that's where it ends.
ideally, one of the good things about these sidewalk plans in your comprehensive plan update, especially where they're mapped, is that if you have somebody coming in for a land development application, you have the possibility of saying, either, I don't remember what's in your code, sidewalks are required, or we'd like you to build sidewalks, and look, it's
Yeah.
in our comprehensive plan update.
Yeah, it's definitely in the comprehensive plan, the 2009 plan even, back then had it, and it's in our actual town code.
Yep.
And we have a complete streets policy in the town code, which was actually adopted by the town board, which talks about including sidewalks with new development and such.
So you sort of have what you need, because I know in other communities, asking for sidewalks is a big uphill conversation. But you're gonna have a lot, I guess you have what you have in your code, and you'll have a map that shows, we've pinpointed where we would like to see sidewalks.
Liz, I remember in the plan that we did ask for additional bus stops.
Yes.
In some form, but we don't say where the bus stop should be, and we leave that up to the Department of Transportation or somebody.
That would be county, would it not?
Well, I think that's, well, whoever it is.
I don't know that we specified who should decide, but I know that in that section, we talked about consultation with
Yeah.
those agencies.
Because I remember that some people said that the buses will stop if you wave.
Right. Or do that.
Oh, that works too?
Yeah.
The last time I took a bus.
I haven't taken a bus in a few years. Anyway, I don't want to just go on and on about sidewalks. The other thing that's
Yeah.
on the comprehensive plan objective map are these sort of, I guess I would say they're peach-colored areas. And these are some of the large parcels throughout the town. I'm going to start from the west. Some of the larger pieces of land throughout the town that are either undeveloped or relatively underdeveloped, and have the potential in the future to be developed, or maybe have the potential in the future to be preserved, such as a lot of this mountainous area. And so there is a big section of the comprehensive plan update that, that talks about these large parcels and what might potentially occur, or what to be concerned about if they are considered for land development, and
Well-
whether or not in the future, go ahead, what were you gonna say?
The area down further, the large parcels here to the left of Route 9, I mean, a lot of that's all state land.
A lot of it is state land.
Correct. There is a parcel, FYI, town of Fishkill, that is being, is it tax auction coming up, that straddles the rail,
The future rail trail?
17 acres.
Oh,
Its minimum bid is $1, same. So if I may, I can actually point it out.
do you wanna try to use the mouse?
Yeah.
Send it on down.
Oh, good look. So,
Uber mouse.
it's right here. This piece right here.
Rail tree, you gotta bring it down a little, don't
This is the rail right here, is it?
you? The
Yes, it
purple-
is.
Yes, that
Yeah.
is.
This is the rail, this
Yeah,
is the
that's it,
17
yeah.
acre. The, what's the Kip House?
Yes.
Francis Kip
Hey,
House.
Kip House.
He's losing the back end.
Okay, so it's off old,
It's landlocked, but you can gain access from sort of Van Steuben area if you wanted to.
Does it have frontage on the rail trail? I mean,
Oh,
the
yeah.
old railroad line?
Oh, yeah, it straddles the creek and, yeah, straddles the creek and also, butts right up against the rail there.
I view the,
So that's where it's located, right there.
okay, so it's on the north, side of the track,
Hi.
It's-
yes?
It's on the south side.
Of the track, and where the Kip House is?
So, I'm sorry.
how
Did
do
you
I
see
get
where it
rid of
was?
that? I think you said right there.
Yes,
Yeah,
correct. Okay?
I can zoom in on that if
It's
I.
actually all of about a quarter mile from where we're sitting right now.
Are you suggesting a road trip?
Yeah, come on, Pete. Pack up all the cameras, let's go.
Zoom session? Anyways, just an FYI. I mean,
Okay,
And, oh, by the way, right next door to this piece that's being auctioned off, guess who owns next door?
Town of Fishkill.
Oh my gosh, you're really on the game now.
Well, I know that, because that's what I said. I know
Okay,
the
so-
I know the piece of property, it's a lot, you know, where it is.
It would be just another added feature for green space.
So you remember much earlier, I said we have property that, on
Yes.
the rail trail.
Yes.
You know, we get to the rail trail.
Yeah, there's a
and
whole,
if there's another piece next to it, that'd be ideal, the cost, what the cost is. But it's landlocked, you said?
well,
Technically,
I mean, landlocked is relative if
Well, as
the
long as we have
future,
access next door to it, then we maybe
Right.
have an access to it.
but
correct,
if there's a future rail trail, it's possible that
Exactly.
becomes a new kind of frontage.
correct. Could that be for some of the things that are being proposed later on at a cost-effective measure with minimal impact? Sure. I'd like to know. I mean, if you guys want, we don't have the money right now, be glad to purchase it and you can just assign the contract your way, and, you know, a couple zeros behind it. Just saying.
Who has it up for auction?
Absolute.
Absolute?
Oh, no, sorry, that's, no, Dutchess County.
Oh, it's a tax sale?
Yeah.
Ah,
Well, at least, you know,
We'd buy it for
this,
$1.
I'm gonna point this out as long as you're discussing parcels along this, that this is the existing old rail line. You can't see the hatching. There's the hatching for the regular rail line, and the green is to highlight a CPU, comprehensive plan update objective to support this turning into a rail trail going through, basically going from the eastern side of town, coming in
East Fishkill there.
and
yeah,
that's East
at
Fishkill.
East Fishkill, running through this area, and continuing on down through the town, running through Beacon, and going to the Hudson River, but then, you know, beyond that, after it leaves the boundary with East Fishkill, continues on to Hopewell, so lots of opportunity there. Hope I didn't ruin this map. Anyway,
Nice.
Well,
Good.
it's not the original, it'll be on file with your office, so you'll be fine.
anyway, any other? And the other gateways are from Wappinger on down, along 9G,
9D,
9D, sorry, 9D. Sorry.
it's okay. Knee-jerk reaction. Yeah, there's a lot of, on
That's a
both
nice
sides.
corridor, and it's kind of a gateway, sort of from Beacon into the town, into the, some of the pretty areas
Yeah.
on the western side of town.
There is a good-sized parcel there on 9D on the east side of, well, the old scrap place there, and which I think is no longer operating.
Are we talking about the northern part of 9D?
Yes, Stony Kill, right on the corner of Stony Kill.
Mm-hmm.
He's got about 25 plus or minus acres. And I'm just
Yeah.
curious.
Nice environmental input.
Yeah, it is. He's clean over there. Come on.
Huh?
Right. He's clean over there.
Yeah, huh?
Cleaner than Texaco.
Uh-huh.
Anything else
Is that in
anybody wants?
Fishkill?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I believe it is. That is Fishkill.
I don't know. I don't remember it. I
I'm
know
not
it was
sure
for
of
some
that.
years ago, but I didn't know it was back on the market.
That's the
Well, I don't know the
uncooperative map.
market part there, but I mean, they.
You talking about AW scrap?
Yeah.
I think that,
Huh?
not sure if it's in Fishkill or Wappinger. That's up near the,
Yeah, hold up, right there.
You talking about in this area?
Baxter Town.
No.
To the left a
That's
little bit.
Stony Kill.
Yeah, it looks like 90.
Oh, you know something? It is Wappinger.
Yeah, because the
It's
town
just
ends
it's
in
just
Stony
over-
Kill.
It's much farther up.
What's that?
It's much farther up.
Not much more, but
Yeah, it's
my mistake.
You
I
know,
better get it together here.
as long as we're talking about neighboring communities, I want the committee to know that really based on some feedback at a meeting, on the secret positive declaration, and scoping session, statement, which is notifying people. At the end of it, it says, "This notice will be circulated to the following," and along with the Town of Fishkill Clerk, Planning Board, Water and Sewer Department, Recreation Department. It would also go to the Blodgett Memorial Library, mainly because they're just such a great communicator of things, but also to the adjoining communities, Town of Wappinger, Town Board, Town of East Fishkill Town Board, City of Beacon Mayor and City Council, Village of Fishkill Mayor and Board of Trustees, Town of Phillipstown Town Board, and the County of Putnam. And then also, again, a comprehensive plan committee, and it's expressed in the comprehensive plan update, wants to collaborate with adjoining communities, and also the school districts, so that would be Beacon City School District, Haldane Central School District, Wappinger Central School District, and then, of course, Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development. There's a required referral. And they, we'll probably come back with some very interesting comments as well. And then Dutchess County Department of Public Works, because of the sidewalks all over and other things related to streets and crossings, and New York State Department of Transportation. So I
How
didn't
about the
mean,
DEC? 'Cause
You know,
we're
the state,
planning on doing
should they not get a copy of all this information here?
Well,
So,
yeah,
just the
it's a-
DEC.
It's a different organization.
what?
NYC DEC.
NYC?
Yeah.
Are you talking about
excuse
New
me.
York City DEP?
I was DEP, I'm sorry.
No, I said
Yeah,
DEC.
You said DEC.
Yeah,
Because we're talking about doing
Well-
something with the river, with the,
right. These kinds of notices
Stream
are filed with the DEC.
okay. Do we also have to do it with the fire departments? I don't know. I know if we, the planning board, if we do anything in a fire district, we let them know, but I don't know if we have to do it. Jonathan?
We could, I mean,
You've got nothing to lose by not.
Okay, so just,
There are
just,
5 of them.
Can you advise us on that?
Oh, 4 of
I can check on that.
so I know there's a Rombout.
well, I don't.
I can find them because
We have them.
From the fire districts?
Yeah, we have the fire districts, but I didn't know, do we have to do the village fire district? Because that's.
I remember trying to reach out and I'll go back to the survey because I emailed some of those folks.
Well, we can name them.
Yeah, go ahead.
Dutchess Junction, Chelsea, Glenham,
What? Glenham and Rombout.
and Roundabout,
And then
and
Protection
Village
Engine.
of Fishkill Fire Department.
Protection Engine.
Slater Chemical, is that in Fishkill?
Is Village of Fishkill Fire
That's Glenham.
Department the same as Protection Engine?
Yes, it
Yes.
is.
Thank you.
And Glenham is the same as Slater Chemical.
Correct.
Because I remember really going through a lot of phone calls and emails to figure out who was where
Yeah,
before I could get a contact person. That was for the survey.
yeah, yeah.
So Rombout, Dutchess Junction, Chelsea, Glenham/Slater Chemical, and Village of Fishkill Fire Department/Protection Engine.
Correct.
Who else?
And then the only other 2 we have, if you're gonna do, is the police, and I wish you have 2 different police departments, but, because we're talking about traffic, but again,
don't
I
know
know,
the
I know
police
that's been in front
departments.
of, I know that's been in front of the town board regarding the traffic itself.
Yeah, I've always heard of fire departments being contacted because of access, for
And
emergency
roads and-
vehicles.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, we can list the fire departments, but I've never
I'm
heard of
just
that
asking,
on a secret.
I'm just asking, I don't,
did you mention school districts?
yeah.
I
You
did,
did, okay.
yeah, we got Beacon, Haldane, and Wappingers.
Okay.
So police departments or not?
If you don't need
I
it,
don't think
that doesn't
Okay.
matter.
I-
Just
it
as I
doesn't-
said, if you don't need the fire departments, it doesn't matter
No,
either.
I mean, the fire departments might weigh in only, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, none of these are legally required, I don't
Right.
think.
No, they're not.
But the more people that we notify and are aware of our plan, the more good input we may get.
Either negative or positive.
Well, and my impression with
Just
fire.
positive.
Right,
It's a positive deck, so it has to be positive.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan.
that's good, that's good. I mean, fire departments happen to just be connected, the people that are members and
Oh.
serve on those are just connected with everything. And
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
one big
So-
family.
So I think that's a pretty hefty list. This is,
You know who else you
Go
don't have
ahead.
on there? I don't know if he'll answer, but the highway superintendent.
Oh, I didn't put highway down here.
No.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
mean,
For Fishkill, I put town clerk, planning board, water and sewer. I'll add highway department, because that's important, especially with the water, and Fishkill Recreation. And then I don't know if there are any local groups that happen to weigh in on
well,
whatever planning issues, and meaning, I don't know,
you.
I think this is
You do know that.
pretty good list.
The Historical Society, you know, they appointed someone now, but he did attend our open house and
Oh, the town historian,
historian.
yeah. And what I'm hoping to do is see if it's okay to mail some of these and email some,
Yeah.
depending on who it is. I can check with them in advance, so. Any other agencies, groups, community?
Well, based upon the turnout downstairs, maybe we should invite the garden club.
Wow. Yeah.
You throw all the cars out.
What's the name of the garden club?
Is that Stony Kill?
No, I don't know, what's the name of the garden club?
The Verplank Garden Club.
Verplank, there we go.
That's it.
They just go to Stony Kill.
PLANCK, right?
BRPLANCK, correct.
That's kind of specific, but if it's a broad part of the community.
They are.
I mean, you can keep on going, because there's so many other things that we have going on in Fishkill. You got the Mount Julian Society, and they have, but, you know, you can get really carried away then.
That's the issue. I have a feeling we have a pretty good
You know,
cross-section here.
I-
I like to stick to agencies as much as possible,
Okay, can I make another
because
suggestion?
then if, the only thing
For
about
library?
starting, the library's on there.
No, Liz, half of the town of Fishkill, or quarter of the town of Fishkill, the library, Beacon Library serves,
Oh, Beacon Library.
Beacon Library.
Okay. Here's,
If anybody in this Beacon school system, their library is,
okay. Here's one thing I want to say about
Good point.
private groups. I think of a fire department as being a community service. They're providing a community service. I think one of the concerns about starting to have a lot of private groups, I mean, other than like a public service type, like a library, is that if you don't invite each one, then you kind of have an issue.
okay.
So that would be my only concern there.
I would agree with that.
That's
You're
a
gonna
good
tick
answer.
somebody off, but you know, how
That's-
come they
that's the
got one
worry.
and we
How
didn't
come
get
we
one?
didn't get it?
Yeah.
You're right. And there are gonna be public notices and stuff like that, so. And we're hitting a lot of places like the libraries where people can find out about these things. I think that's a pretty hefty list. Do you want me to read through it again, or?
No.
No, okay.
I like an honest man.
Sure you want to go like the-
Any other questions about the process at all?
I think you did a good job.
Fantastic.
I think that you all did a good job, and that's why the plan, I think, is gonna have a decent, bit of success in the review process.
And Jonathan, thank you very much for your report.
Yes.
You're welcome.
I think he's the leading man for an MVP of the CPU. The award.
Yeah, I mean, this document is substantially about things that the community said along the way, the committee said along the way, including, all of your thoughts, so,
So Liz, we will see you next Wednesday
We
as
shall
a
see you
committee,
next Wednesday.
yep.
and we will, with your permission, adjourn for the rest of the night.
So
I
moved.
think it sounds reasonable.
Okay, so the process will now start with the town board next Wednesday night? Is that
Next
correct?
Wednesday night at
And-
7 PM or as soon thereafter as,
Are you bringing dinner?
No, but I hope we're first on the agenda.
I am not.
I will put that word to the town supervisor that there has been a request for that.
And
Thank
this,
you.
I believe this is our final meeting of the Comprehensive Plan Update Committee, at
Unless
least
we
till the
meet-
end of the year,
At least until, right, we have
until
more
we hit the
stuff
next
to talk about.
phase.
Yep.
And it's, you know, I hopped on this committee beginning of the year, and it's been a very productive, I think, year, because we're getting a lot of stuff done all at once, and there's been a lot of people in and out on this committee that have gotten us to this point, and I really want to thank Elizabeth, Greg, and Jonathan, who have kind of been the spearheading everything, and we look forward to the next level, next
Yeah.
phase.
Adopt this thing and start doing stuff.
We are officially adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, good night.
Hey, Peter, thank you.
Peter, thank you, yes.
You can go home now.